Okay, we're continuing with the quote book. This is by me, Pete Rogers. Here's the book, Holy Grail of Wisdom Quotes. We're doing Francis Crick. He was the co-discoverer of the DNA double helix with Jim Watson out in England. And here's his quote. The major credit I think that Jim Watson and I deserve is for selecting the right problem and sticking with it. It is true that by blundering we stumbled onto gold, but the fact remains that we were looking for gold. Yeah, they had a high goal, because most science, if you read scientific journals, you see they're constantly chasing micro questions, because a micro question is safe, you can't get into trouble, you probably get a little funding, but you never discover anything interesting unless you go for something big. So he says, we discovered the secret of life. If Watson and I had not discovered the DNA structure, instead of being revealed with a flourish, it would have trickled out, and its impact would have been far less. For this reason, Svent had argued that a scientific discovery is more akin to a work of art than is generally admitted. Style, he argues, is as important as content. There is no form of prose more difficult to understand or more tedious to read than the average scientific paper. Yeah, if you read a lot of scientific papers, you realize most of them stink. The really good scientific writers, they make it like a story, a narrative. And it makes sense. Like, you read Douglas Kell. A typical title for one of his papers is something like Iron Behaving Badly. It's a fun title, and he tells the story of iron metabolism. Okay, a busy life is a wasted life. Avoid the temptation to work so hard that there is no time left for serious thinking. Yeah, that's kind of been my problem. I spend way too much time working in conventional medicine, and I'm grateful to have a job. I'm grateful that it pays the bills, but I wish the hours were not so long. They sort of trap you into a conventional medicine job, and then the workload keeps going up and up, and it's not easy to change. I know people say it is, but they don't know the details of it. Believe me, I think about it every day because I want more time for this stuff. Anyways, a good scientist values criticism almost higher than friendship. No, in science, criticism is the height and measure of friendship. Our advantage was that we had evolved fruitful methods of collaboration. If either of us suggested a new idea, the other, while taking it seriously, would attempt to demolish it in a candid but non-hostile manner. There is no scientific study more vital to man than the study of his own brain. Free will is located in or near the anterior cingulate sulcus. Okay, that's an interesting statement. A theory should not attempt to explain all the facts because some of the facts are wrong. Yeah, that's a good point too. A lot of the stuff is wrong, so you have to just take the majority of them that seem to be correct and go with it. Here's another one nice by Francis Crick. An honest man with all the knowledge available to us now could only state that in some sense the origin of life appears at the moment to be almost a miracle. So many are the conditions which would have had to be satisfied to get it going. Yeah, he himself is not a religious guy, and yes, he did do great scientific work to co-discover the DNA double helix, but I can tell you, if you don't have a God-based perspective and worldview, you end up going nowhere in the long term in terms of your ability to make things better for mankind. I'll also share with you, I like to quote by Charles Leibniz. He said, there's either God or nothingness. That's important to understand because, I've been in medicine a long time, and I can tell you, if you don't have a God-based worldview, everything becomes bogus. For example, they have the newest machines, and I'm quite familiar with many of the newest, highest forms of technology. New CAT scanner. You go, isn't this great, this CAT scanner? We can diagnose appendicitis. Well, guess what? Your hospital's probably only going to diagnose maybe, 1 or 2 cases of appendicitis every month. But then what they're going to do is they're going to take that CT scanner and use it for screening cardiac CT, screening lung CA, and they're going to do thousands of those in 1 month, thousands of those chest CTs and many of those cardiac CTs. And, I think that stuff's overrated, just so you know. It's a way to just get more people to become patients. So what I'm trying to say is they'll bring it in based on the fanfare of some good thing, but that good thing will be rare. And then what they're going to mainly use it for is to make money, okay? All right, and I like the fact that he admits, anybody that looks at the design in nature would say, gee, it was designed. Okay, Francis Crick. Biologists must keep in mind that what they see was not designed, but rather evolved. Okay, I'll actually do one more person here in this quote tree. I'll do Quentin Crisp here. It'll be real fast to go through his stuff. There are 3 reasons for becoming a writer. The first is that you need the money. The second is that you have something to say that you think the world should know. And the third is that you can't think of what else to do on long winter days. Yeah, there's a lot of truth in that. I like Orwell's quotes about why I write. Okay, we'll just do this next one because it's right here. John Philpott, Curran, he said, the condition upon which God hath made liberty to man is eternal vigilance, which condition, if he break, servitude is at once the consequence of his crime and the punishment of his guilt. So yeah, that's kind of been my experience, is that most people, they're so ignorant and they're so, brain, cleaned, washed from public schools. It's like you can't have a conversation with them. They're just like farm animals. They're so dumb. They don't understand. Slavery is what is normal, and slavery is what is coming back unless people learn, about the history. And the books are being changed. I've read things about how there's big attempts being going on to edit these ebooks, okay, and change them, and that they can even be sent to your reading device and then taken back and a new version sent out to you. And so that totally reminds me of the year, 84, and what was happening in that book. It's happening in real life.